yesterday. Today's Saturday, yesterday is Friday. I did a zoo overnight and I popped into the store because I always do my weekend shopping, and they had Brioche on sale and they had Challah on sale. My choice is day-old Challah. It's very inexpensive. It's a very eggy bread. It's Jewish bread. Brioche is a French bread. I love making orange, cinnamon, vanilla French toast out of Challah. And so I picked up a couple loaves. It's very inexpensive. I don't have a lot of money, but I love to cook. And so I guess a lot of what I'm doing here is being honest about how a lot of these cooking shows are about, you know, spending $55 to $105 on ingredients you can't afford, and then it's so complicated you can't follow the directions. So this is very simple. So what I'm going to do is, firstly, I am going to cut the challah into big thick slices, and of course I'm going to do this with a bread knife. Bread knives are serrated, and what I do is probably about a ½ inch cuts of the bread so that they're nice and I love thick French toast, and also cooks better on your range top grill. And I'll show you the one that I have. I have an electric range, which I do not suggest for any person who loves to cook. Electric ranges are really the worst. The best range to have is a gas range and an electric oven, which is a combo situation. You can actually order those from whatever store when you go to design your kitchen if you've got that type of money. If not, you deal with what you have. Here's my second loaf. I have electric, and so I have tried to modify my life to an electric stove. It has not been an easy process. I'm actually quite jealous of everybody who has one. Needless to say, I do have, and I have collected a lot of really unique kitchen gadgets, but I've really tried not to get gadgety. What I've tried to do is select things that really will be multi-purpose, very economical, and I can buy over time so that I don't spend a lot of money. So my brioche is now cut. Actually, this is challah. Nice goof there. And I'm going to place this to the side. I wanted to show you this. These are great because of how sturdy they are. They're dishwasher safe, they're microwave safe, they're just safe to use, except for obviously the oven and stovetop, and they last a super long time. In fact, I think this container is probably about 10 years old. They have measurements on the side. Very, very useful for a lot of different things. So I wanted to show you that. Moving on, I am going to make the batter for the brioche, and I keep saying brioche, challah. Challah. So what is happening here is we're going to do a double batch. I have a lot of people that I feed, and they eat a lot of food. I have 2 teenagers. Sometimes that makes it very, very difficult to feed everybody economically. But what I try to do is think of what is fresh, what is seasonal and organic or all natural, that I can make wonderful things for my family. And this is a recipe I've probably perfected over about 20 years. It actually, the base of the recipe came out of a Betty Crocker cookbook, and I started with that. There's 6 eggs. The original recipe calls for 3 eggs. I'm doubling this recipe, so everything that you see right now is going to be doubled, and I'll remind you of that as we go. So what you're going to do, this is a flat whisk. This whisk you must have. This is a flat whisk. I got this flat whisk at Sur La Table, probably the cook's dream store, but Williams-Sonoma's fantastic. Don't be intimidated by these high-end stores. This whisk was maybe $10, $12 at the most, and I've used it daily for 10 years. And it has been a very trusted companion. I'm going to whisk these eggs until they're completely incorporated. You want to really break up all the yolk. And this is just me cooking. This is what I do. This is not going to be, you know, already pre-measured stuff, you know, trying to be, you know, the Barefoot Contessa with the perfect kitchen and the perfect life. This is just a full-time mom, full-time student, full-time worker trying to make the best food she can for her family. Flat whisk, worth every cent. Second ingredient that we're going to put in here, and it's going to sound funny to you, but I put in my flour next, and I'll tell you why I put my flour in next. A lot of people are like, huh, I don't get that. You should put all your dries in one bowl, all your wets in another bowl, and then combine the two, and that's how you do it. One thing though, and it's very important, 6 eggs, half a cup of flour. Half the recipe, 3 eggs, 1/4 cup of flour. To incorporate the flour into the egg is really an important step here, and I'll tell you why. The reason is because it's almost like a roux. A roux is butter and flour in a pot. You melt the butter, and then you put in a couple tablespoons of flour, and then you cook it until it turns kind of a golden brown, and that way your gravies and other things don't have a floury taste. For some reason, if you incorporate the flour in this recipe into the egg first, I want to say, for lack of a better term, it suspends it. And when you suspend it, it doesn't settle to the bottom of the mixture when you're trying to thread your bread, your challah, into the mixture. So, I'm just going to stir this real quick. Done. Step 2 done. So that is flour into the egg mixture. Now what we're going to do is, I like using half and half, or, okay, so here's a secret. Half and half. I always keep half and half. I always keep whipped cream, and usually I'll have whole milk in the refrigerator, along with whatever drinking milk the kids want. In this case, I went to the grocery store, and I did not pick up the whole milk. Now, this recipe calls for whole milk. If you have a half of half and half, and you put some water in it, it acts like whole milk. So I'm going to use half and half in water, and that's what I've done. I've already mixed my half and half in water into this container. I had about a half thing of water, half and half. I put some water in it, and so that's what we're going to use. And this recipe calls for 2 cups. I'm going to put in 4 because I am doubling. So I'm going to go over it again. There is exactly 4 cups. 3 eggs, 1/4 cup of flour, and then now I'm going to incorporate my half and half, or whole milk. You know what? 2% works. Whatever you got on hand. This is for you and your taste and your likes. It works in any way. I like half and half. If you don't use half and half, if you don't like whole milk, if you're watching your cholesterol, to tell you the truth, almond milk, coconut milk, rice milk would probably all work in this recipe. There you go. Alright, so we have our egg, we have our flour, we have our milk. Now, frankly, this is a basic batter. In different quantities, you could do lots of things with. Actually, it could be pancakes, it could be crepes, it could be a lot of different things. But in this case, because we're doing French toast and the bread sits here and the batter is here, really this is boring. So what we're going to do in order to flavor this is we're going to do a few things to make it really tasty. And what we're going to do is we're going to add vanilla, we're going to add cinnamon, and we're going to add an orange. And this is what we do. First we're going to do our orange. we're going to take, this is another gadget I love. I believe I got this at Challah. This is a double-sided. It's a microplaner, 2 sides. I'm going to use the thin side. You don't have to get this one, but this is a definite must-have for any kitchen. We're going to wash my orange. We're going to just lightly skim the top of this entire orange. And I like bold flavor. I don't know about you, but I don't like anything boring. So it's not worth it. And if you're like me, we don't really go out to eat much. We really can't expend that kind of money or energy or time. And so I try to think of things that really save a lot of time in the kitchen, makes our lives better and healthier. And so this is what I do. Try to come up with things that will make our mouths happy, our bellies full, and don't cost a lot of money. Nice English there. Here we go. So I have now a microplaner full of orange zest. I'm going to just dump that right in. That is yumminess. Now, I'm going to take a chef knife, and my knife skills are not professional, but I do put my fingers in to avoid getting cut, and I've never been seriously cut. Chef knife also must have. Now, this is one thing that a very special person in my life came with. Alrighty, so because I'm doubling this recipe, I'm going to do both oranges. So, or both sides of the orange. This is the other half of the orange that I'm squeezing. Alright. Excellent. And you get about 2 tablespoons, approximately, maybe more, out of the orange that you're squeezing. So, just like this. In essence, you're going to have, for a double batch, the zest of 1 orange and the juice of 1 orange. Or they do have things that, like extracts, they are extracts of orange, extracts of lemon, whatever. If you have that in your pantry, you can always use a teaspoon of that. They're very concentrated, so actually a half a teaspoon would be fine. Another thing that you can do, you can put in this, and if you think about it, it would be quite yummy, would be lemon. I wouldn't suggest peppermint or anything like that, but orange, lemon, cinnamon, maybe cardamom, if you like cardamom, that would also work. I'm going to use cinnamon next, and I'm going to use, I like this pure bourbon vanilla extract from Trader Joe's. It's very inexpensive. It's excellent. So I'm going to grab my teaspoon. Now, I like a lot of vanilla. I don't understand why most TV cooks and personalities use such little amounts of vanilla, and the cookbooks, to tell you the truth. But I love a lot of vanilla, so I'm going to put a whole tablespoon of vanilla in here because it's just so yummy. And I'm going to put an essence of about probably 2 teaspoons of cinnamon in here. I like bold flavor, especially on my cinnamon orange vanilla French toast, because it interacts with maple syrup really, really well. So there's that. 2 whole teaspoons of cinnamon. So to flavor this, we have put in the zest of an entire orange, the juice of an entire orange, 2 teaspoons of cinnamon, and a whole tablespoon of vanilla. That's a lot of flavor. And the last thing that we're going to put in here is salt. And briefly, I only use, this is really just kind of a pinch, a couple pinches of salt. That's for leavening with the flour so that you kind of have like this rise to the bread, which is yummy. But pretty much, what it boils down to here is you need to flavor this quite well because it will be lost if not. The bread is bland, flour and milk is pretty bland, so you need to really flavor it nicely in order to get that kind of aroma and smell. And if you could smell in here, it smells absolutely divine right now. Alright, so here is our batter for our French toast. I have cut my bread, I've created my batter, and we're ready to cook. Okay, so here we are. I have a test piece of my challah dipped in my batter here on my back grill. On electric grills especially, you have variated sizes, and so sometimes your back grill is hotter than your front grill, and this is a double burner grill. So what I'm doing is I'm testing my back grill to make sure that that my heat is as even as it can be. So I have my front burner on 3 right now, and my back burner on 3 right now, and my front burner on about 5.5 because the back burner is larger than the front. So I'm just going to test this out real quick. I have greased my grill with just the canola oil is fine here, and we're just making sure that everything is good to go. Alright, so it's been sitting here on the grill for a couple minutes and I'm just testing it. It looks like it's in good condition here, and so I'm going to make sure that the piece of French bread, or the French toast, is doing well. Looks like it's in perfect consistency. As you can see, the egg is all the way through it. This is good to go. So that means that my grill is on a good temperature. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put several pieces of my French toast in the batter. I'm going to just push it down. Again, here's my flat whisk doing triple duty. Love that. Good use of your equipment. You don't need a lot of equipment. You just need the right equipment that can perform many duties. I use this as kind of a flipper in this situation. Make sure I get my French toast completely saturated with all this yumminess. And put it on the grill. Look at that. Exactly how it should be. Good consistency. Nice, saturated with the egg mixture, which I like. I'm going to put 4 pieces on right now for demonstration. I'll crowd this thing for my own family, but for these purposes, you can see little bits of the orange in there. I try to kind of, again, sometimes what happens is that the good stuff kind of floats to the top, so you want to beat it a little bit. That's why using this flat whisk comes in handy, because you can take care of that. And we're going to let this cook for a minute, and I'm going to give you, as this cooks, some pointers. Firstly, you're going to want to have this completely set up the correct way so that you can, obviously, assembly line, cook a lot for your family in the morning. I have my bread already cut here. I have my batter completely done. And here's this container that, again, I get at Smart & Final or the Restaurant Depot. Excellent for this type of thing because it's multi-use. Use it for a lot of things. Ice cream, batters, whatever I need it for. Leftovers. And then I have my grill set up. Now, I'm going to talk about the oil. You want to use an oil that can cook at a high consistency so that you have not a lot of breakdown of your oil. And you want to make sure that on French toast, you need to make sure that you have a little bit more oil on your grill than you do for pancakes. Pancakes, you just want to wipe it down so that it's nice non-stick. French toast, you want to have a little bit more because you have an eggy mixture involved, and so that way you don't have any kind of sticking with your French toast. So it's been a few minutes. I'm going to check to make sure. Yep, that looks like it's doing well. I'm going to flip that over. Nice golden brown consistency. Again, this is thick, so you're going to want to make sure it's cooked all the way through. Look at that, how beautiful that looks. Remember, this is not IHOP or a restaurant. Nice and done. This is for your family. It doesn't have to look perfect, but I think a nice golden brown piece of French toast with bacon and real maple syrup goes a long way. Not spending that $50 or $60 even at a low-end restaurant for fake maple syrup, margarine, and substandard ingredients when you can make it for a fraction of the cost at home and enjoy your family on a Saturday or Sunday morning. So this is sitting. Now, the great thing about this is that you can brown each side, and then what I do is I pop it in the oven so that at a low temperature so that it stays nice and warm, and so you can sit down with your family with French toast especially, and you're not in the kitchen slaving away over a hot stove while everybody else is enjoying their food. So I like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this in a oven type proof or some type of whatever you can put in the oven at about 225 degrees is all you need it at. And I'm going to just put that on there, put it in the oven, and go on to my next set of French toast. So get through your French toast, I'll get through mine, and we'll meet at plating. All right, well, I have cooked all of my French toast. My bacon is done and out of the oven. I put 2 pieces of big French toast. You don't need but maybe a couple slices for each person. And I just wanted to show you how I dress and plate mine. This is a little bit of powdered sugar. This is if you have time for it. Of course, you don't have to do this if you don't want, but boy, it sure does taste great when you have some powdered sugar on your French toast. A little bit of butter for each of those slices. Real butter, I always use unsalted. And some real maple syrup. Just tell everybody, you know, you don't need a lot, you don't need to flood the plate, but for a really good Sunday or Saturday breakfast for your family, this is maybe a couple of dollars. A lot better than that $10 to $12 for that fancy French toast at your local restaurant. Enjoy! Are we going? All right, fine. Kevin says that today I'm supposed to say we're making deliciousness.